2020 town budget. And let's see. So, John, Jim, can you sign in for me, please?
Yes.
John, you signed in if you'd like to ask a question.
Somewhat,
I guess I'll start by a preamble first, if you don't mind, just to let you all know that we started this budget process in September, well, actually August, when everybody put all their wish list in. We normally go through and send a form out, our accountant does, to all the department heads and asks for what she gives them is what your budget looks like now, what 2019 was, where you're at today in August, and then what your wish list is and your normal expenditures for the coming year. So we take that information and compile it into a tentative budget. The tentative budget has to be presented to the clerk by the 30th of September, which it was, I believe, on September 26th this year. We had a special meeting to do that. And then the board has had now 3, counting the one we had at 5 o'clock today, work sessions to tweak this budget to get it to meet within the tax cap. The tax cap is around 2% every year, established by the governor's office. And typically we have drafted a local law to override the tax cap in case we need to, and that would mean if our budget ends up spending more than what the tax cap says it should be. So this year we took a chance and said, we're not gonna draft a local law that we have to turn around and rescind, because we've never gone over the tax cap since the initiation, and that's big because other places have. We have never gone over the tax cap since the governor started the tax cap process, and that's been for probably 5 years anyway, 6 maybe. I don't know the exact year that started. So this year we agreed as a board at our first work session that we were not gonna do a tax cap override local law, so we did not. So we had some work to do, and as of last Tuesday, we had to come up with reducing the budget total overall by $140,000, which we are at about $30,000 right now in reductions. That means balancing expenses and revenues. So we've come to that point where, as of this minute, we have to reduce either spending or increase appropriations, or a combination of the two, by $10,293.49 exactly. So during the process of the budget, we keep going on to the state website to enter where we're at to reach the tax cap. The tax cap calculations are very complicated, but they have a form on the state website that we're pretty comfortable with now. It doesn't take long. It is including last year's budget, this year's anticipated, all the water and sewer levies, the districts, any charges that we have on the districts, and where we're at today, and some of the state aid, some of the debt, all that figures in or doesn't figure in. There's lots of calculations that go on behind the scenes, and then you get this magic number that says you're $10,000 over the tax cap. So that's where we're at right now. And so we feel very comfortable that by the time we adopt this budget, we can match that, come up with that $10,000 difference. And we just went through it page by page before the public hearing to make sure we're all comfortable with the numbers that we changed. I want to thank Samantha Davies upstairs, our accountant, for doing a really good job of entering all the data for us and collecting all the absolute numbers like health insurance, contracts that we're obligated to, agreements that we're obligated to, and contracts meaning personal services, CSCA, and all that we know is a given in our insurance for the town. And then we also know, thanks to Billy, I want to make sure I compliment him because he does a really good job getting the highway department budget together, and that is not an easy feat. And he gives us all the numbers, we fill in all the blanks, and help him with the stuff that is all the administrative part of the budget, but it's actually the guts of the highway department. He figures out long-range planning, what are we gonna do this year, where we're gonna blacktop, what we're gonna need for equipment, what we spent this year, what equipment is in what shape, and we wanna make sure that we maintain a fleet that doesn't cost us a fortune in repairs. So, I think everybody's done a really good job here, and we definitely will make a big effort to drop this budget down to within the tax cap. So, you all have a copy of it. I don't think we need to go through line item by line item unless somebody has a specific question. Certainly we'll be happy to entertain that.
And this is a special meeting and hearing specific to our budget.
Yes, and this is, the topic is only the 2020 budget tonight. We're not gonna meander off that, we're gonna stick to the budget, and it is, questions are posed by people who were here tonight, we appreciate you coming, but we're not gonna get off on other topics this evening. This is just the public hearing on the budget. So, glad to entertain any comments at this point, and John, you signed up to speak, so you have the floor.
Can I speak about salary?
You can speak about salary if you like.
You got him? Nice one.
So what would you like to say?
Who decides on the salary?
Who decides on the salary? The board collectively chooses to increase salary based on cost of livings for the right now, the cost of living, I learned from the Social Security Department, is 1.6%. But as far as the highway department goes, they have a bargaining unit, and they have a contract that we are in the, what year is it?
This is the third year.
The third and final year of this year of the contract, so that will be something in 2020, we'll have to negotiate, with the bargaining unit for the highway department, which is under CSEA, and that will determine whether the board, and the union come to terms on a contract for another year, another 2 years, another 3 years. That's all in the works for 2020. But right now for 2020 budget, those figures are cast in stone on a previous contract.
So we don't have any input in that, or
No,
we don't have any input in those, so you got.
That's just the highway,
that's the highway.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
The office staff is not under the highway
so
CSEA.
who's the deputy supervisor?
John
You
Quinn
are.
is.
So, you got 16,000 deputy supervisor, 1,500.
Right. That's been like that since
So,
a long time.
that
I
would-
did not set that figure, that was set previously.
So you got, and based on your supervisor, and the village has a mayor
Yes,
which gets half of what you're getting.
I don't know what they get. I don't look at the village's, personal services.
He gets half of what you get. I don't understand how that happens.
That's something also set by the village board. Each board sets their own based on,
That doesn't make sense to me. And I haven't had a chance to go through all this, but I just got it tonight. How much did you budget for the sidewalks? Is
we
that-
we did not budget anything for your sidewalk in 2020, for the sidewalk you're referring to. That is not in this year's budget.
Why?
Because even if we wanted to, it's way too premature to put that in there, because even if we choose to do anything, and that's yet to be determined, I wanna make that clear, that's yet to be determined, then
After 2 or 3 years? It's yet to be
we're not 2 or 3 years.
We're over 2 years.
We're,
At least 2 years.
okay, so I'm answering your question. We're not gonna debate the number of years, we're just gonna say the way the process goes. In the event the town board decides they wanna take that on in cooperation with the state DOT, then there's a whole lot of preliminary work that would have to be done prior to putting money in the budget for a sidewalk. So it's yet to be determined.
What
Okay.
about cleaning it up?
We have money in this budget for road maintenance, street maintenance, and that would fall into that if that was to be done. Okay, so
Okay,
there's
how-
money in the highway department to do road maintenance, or to do maintenance in the highway of the town.
Okay, I can see not spending all that kind of money for the complete sidewalk. But what about that tiny little piece in front of that fire hydrant?
I can't say for 100% sure what's gonna be the result of that, John, here and now, and I'm not going to guess. And I'm not gonna commit to anything for this board to do until we continue our discussions with DOT. That's where that's gonna end up. There's no clear black and white answer yet, and there won't be by probably next month either. We're still working with this DOT.
Well, why would the DOT have anything to do with that little piece of sidewalk that was tore up to repair that fire hydrant? They didn't tear that up, you guys did.
I don't have an answer for that at the moment.
You never have an answer.
Not the one you wanna hear, I know that, so,
But
you know.
you're supposed to
But
be
I
able to
see.
plough this in the winter with from the fire hydrant to the corner. Unless you clean it up, you're not gonna be able to plough it.
Okay, again, that's a whole other topic outside of the actual budget that we're talking about here tonight. That's maintenance that is not, the conversation isn't who does what, when, and where. The conversation is funding in this budget and putting money and resources
But
into
you
the
said you're
budget.
giving no money to do the sidewalk, to do anything.
Not to
the-
replace a sidewalk, that was what I understood the question
Oh,
to be.
okay.
Okay, that was what I understood the question to be. And there is no money in this budget to replace that existing sidewalk. Okay, that's the answer. Anything else?
So
Okay,
we're sitting here still getting no answers for 2 years. Okay.
okay.
That's fine.
Do you have any other questions?
No,
Okay,
we just come and get no answer.
thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Do either of you have any questions? Aaron, you've been here for our work session, so I think we've covered everything.
I just wondered specifically what was cut from the different departments in the budget to reduce that portion of the 140,000.
Well, we went through page by page when you were here at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
All those items that were highlighted
Okay.
were changed. And we can compare those to, I did not make a list of ups and downs for everything. Generally speaking, we cut some expenses on those lines that are highlighted on your copy. And we also increased the revenue. We're taking a little bit more out of fund balance on all the fund balance issues, general highway. And we also, for the pickup truck that we're gonna purchase for the highway department, we are hitting the reserve for that, so that was $50,000. And then we increased each fund balance appropriation by $10,000 or $20,000 because you know we have a pretty healthy fund balance. We discussed that at the last meeting. So, and plus we did drop some of the expenses. We took the $2,500 out for the equipment under the supervisor's line item for laptop. And we also reduced a couple of other things by a few thousand here and there. Generally speaking, by comparing the estimated tentative versus the closer to the year-end actual. When the tentative budget is prepared, we have the estimated expenses are only through August, the actual rather. So then we kind of have to guesstimate what we're gonna spend between August and December, which is a big estimate, as you can imagine. By now, we have the totals through September, so that gives us a little bit more interest in what we can kind of gather between now and then. Sometimes we curtail some of the spending for items that we would like to have in this year's budget until closer to the end, in case any unforeseen expenses come up. So, for example, if we wanted to buy a piece of playground for the beach, we normally wouldn't buy that till almost year end and have it for next season. Because what if something happened that we need to keep that money just in case of an emergency at the beach or a breakdown or something like that? So, or, you know, yeah, or the infrastructure has issues. So we do that, it's cautious spending, to say the least. And that's where we end up creating all this fund balance that we are able to pull out of to balance the budget.
Are you anticipating creating fund balance by the end of this budget year?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, and it's gonna be a little different than we started with because we're taking more out than we planned. I'm trying to think if we have that on our sheet here. Yeah, we didn't break down the exact estimate of what we're going to, add to the fund balance from last year to this year.
Okay.
And it's definitely gonna be less than what we had started with anyway, because we're taking more out. And we're gonna do a little more, spending by the year end. So items that we need, like tires for the highway department, that we put in the 2020 budget, if we have enough funds in the 2019, we'll buy them then, and then we reduce the 2020 by that purchase. It's kind of a juggling match at the end of the year like this to get everything balanced. Jim?
I was wondering if you guys have anything in the budget for the boardwalk down in town for fixing the lights and anything that goes wrong down there.
Yes, we put money in the budget for the boardwalk every year. Are those lights fixed yet?
Actually, I didn't.
I
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down and
here.
take a look tonight.
Now that it gets dark earlier, I was
Because-
here the
yeah.
other night till like 9:30,
Okay.
and I keep forgetting to drive in there to see. Because
Okay.
when you're driving by on the road, it looks like the lights are on.
Right.
But you don't know specifically unless you're actually in there.
Exactly.
closer.
Like I said, and two of them are out, like right at the pavilion.
Do you know, Bill, if the village got to,
I haven't heard anything, so I don't believe they're fixed yet.
okay, because we did, the village, through cooperation between the village and the town, they're gonna go ahead and make the improvements down there and repairs, and then they'll send us the bill for them.
Okay. Yes, because that is what I have understood. Back and forth on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that way before. I mean, they do a lot down there. They sweep it and keep it clean and all that during their regular
Well,
maintenance of the, but we were solely responsible for the lights, but the
Okay.
line crew actually looked at some of them and thought it would be a good time to think about going, what do you call it? LEDs.
What I was really amazed about, because I didn't bring this up before, but I actually seen a truck out there, electric line truck, with two people on one of those lights.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But the thing is the light still doesn't work, so I don't even know what
So
they're doing there.
when they opened it up, they maybe found something that needs to happen.
So,
Or they
I
were
just-
looking, maybe they
No,
were just looking to see what they
Alright,
needed, you
alright.
know, what kind of.
and that was
bulb
actually
and
before. That was actually it was right after that Toucher truck.
I would be willing
'cause
to
it was
bet
still down
that
there.
they probably, well, sometimes do they draw power from those things for events at the park?
No, so actually I think that I don't know what they were doing over there, but
Okay.
There was a couple
thank you.
buckets.
what was really amazed when I seen them there, to be honest with you, now to add to this, when I seen them there, I said, "Oh, look at that! They're actually going to beat me to this. I'm not going to have to say anything."
Yeah, well, I know they're working on it, so I expect it'll be, and we do have money in the budget every year on the
Okay.
boardwalk, it's a specific line item.
Okay, because
So
like I
we'll
said,
definitely get it taken care of sooner than later.
okay,
I would be willing to bet they're working on it right now, Jim, like, figuring out exactly what they need and how much of everything to order the materials.
okay,
So I'll, maybe Billy can follow up with them and let us know.
okay.
By the
Maybe on a
board meeting.
positive note, Jimmy, maybe they're looking to replace the fixture. They gotta, to go through the LEDs, they have to change the fixture
Yeah.
itself, so.
Exactly, or they can make me aware. They can actually let us know that,
Yeah,
because if I don't know that, I'm going to just keep asking.
we'll see if we can get an answer for the next meeting.
yeah, yeah,
Alright, I hear you.
yeah. Thank
Do you have
you.
any more questions on the budget?
That was it.
Aaron?
I just a question for Billy. I was wondering, since your department had some changes from the last workshop to this one, I was wondering how you feel about the changes and how your department will be able to run next year.
I'll be alright.
Okay.
Man, a few words.
Will you have to operate any different than you have this year? Okay.
Anything else on the budget? I'm gonna ask one more time, and we're gonna close this budget hearing and go home. Anyone else have any questions on the budget? I wanna thank you all for coming to the public hearing on the budget, and could I please, get a motion to close, I will close the public hearing, and then I'd like to have a motion to adjourn, please.
Moved.
John? Second. Tracy? Thank you all very much. Roll call vote?
Aye.